Hello everyone, this is James at Astute Review, and I'm here today to show you how to use some of the core review features that exist in our software plugin. We have a variety of other videos that exist on our YouTube channel that detail many of the other features that exist in Astute Review, but again, this is a quick tutorial to show you how to use the main review tool. So once you have the software downloaded, you'll see that Astute Review appears in its own toolbar here, and whether you're in the middle of creating a deck or at the end of creating a deck, you can run our review tool by clicking on this review button. We'll analyze your slides for consistency and display all the inconsistencies found in this neatly organized sidebar. You can think of Astute Review very much like a spell check or Grammarly, but for formatting in PowerPoint, what the software is doing is it's providing an automated review of your presentation for formatting and consistency, and we're going to walk you through in a very user-friendly way how to update your presentation so it looks as professional and unified as possible, while also saving you 75% of your clicks and 60% of your time working through updating your presentation, and that doesn't include the time it takes to actually review a deck to find all these inconsistencies, which obviously takes additional time as well as a very trained eye. So after you click this review all button, you can see that you're able to sort and navigate the review by expanding or collapsing the items here. You can group the issues sequentially by slide or by issue type. I'm going to click sequentially here to navigate the review. Now, what you're able to do is click around to see where the issues are present, but to actually engage the tool, you click on the wrench. And when you do that, an animation will appear, and so will this pop-up. Animation will go for about 3 or 4 seconds. To re-engage it, simply click on the highlighted area in the pop-up. And what the pop-up's going to do is provide you the qualitative and quantitative explanation of what's going on with the formatting issue. So for the power users that are watching this video, the first few columns, we will be detailing, indentation, spacing, positioning, RGB codes. We're providing you the detail behind all of the formats that exist. And then in the last column, we're going to be showing you the prevalence of each format. So the way that the default version of Astute Review works is we initially suggest you update the deck to what's most prevalent in the presentation, but you do have the ability to select other recommended styles or even set the current style as the default in the review. This tutorial is for the default version that benchmarks against prevalence. We do also have the ability for you to input your corporate brand standards or client brand standards into the review, which we detail in another video. I'll be highlighting this very briefly in the review, but for the purpose of this review, just know we're benchmarking based on prevalence. Once you figure out whether you want to ignore or apply the change, you can do that by just clicking on these buttons here, and we will make that formatting change for you and move on to the next issue. So as you can see, Astute Review made that formatting change and moves on to the next issue very much like a spell check. And again, saving you a lot of that manual formatting time and saving you 60% of the formatting time that you're spending in PowerPoint. So a couple of other nice features of the tool are when you group by issue type, you have the ability to fix or ignore entire categories of issues, saving yourself additional time. So I'm going to pull up just a one-off issue here around text font. So, whether it be copying and pasting from emails, the web, client materials, old company files, it's really easy for rogue font to creep into the presentation, regardless of the number of templates that you're using in your organization. After working in a deck for 8, 10, 12 plus hours a day, this stuff is really easy to overlook, but it's something that our software flags for you. And you do have the ability to go through each individual issue if you want, or when you sort by issue type, you can select everything at the category level, click on the wrench, and update everything at once. So as you can see, in 2 to 3 clicks there, I pulled all the rogue font out of the presentation. Similar to the accept all, you also have the ability to ignore entire categories of errors. You can simply click the ignore all button at the category level or walk through things individually and ignore. Very much treat this tool like spell check. One quick security feature about this software is that it is very safe and secure. We cannot see the contents of your presentation. We also can't read your mind. So from time to time, inconsistencies might pop up that are intentional that you might want to ignore, and you can do it at the category level or individual level as well. So right now, what our software does is it checks for a multitude of issues within these 7 categories. We're not just checking for 7 things. At any point in time, if you want to just run a one-off review within a category, just click on any of these buttons and we will do so. I think running these isolated reviews is helpful in two different ways. One, if you're just pressed for time and want to just check a specific category, obviously click on these buttons. But also, if you're using, or running reviews against large presentations, 200 plus slide decks, it might be easier to tackle the review by clicking on these isolated issues, just to speed up processing time and just kind of help you manage the things that pop up in the sidebar. We've just found with 200 plus slide presentations, some of our users find that to be just a more beneficial way to run through the deck. And as you can see here, I clicked on titles, and some of the features that we'll check for within titles are capitalization consistency, RGB code consistency, font sizing across the slides, positioning. This is something that can take a lot of time to update. As you'll see here, we detail all the formats that are present. If you wanted to, for whatever reason, you can click around to make a one-off change, or even set this other style that's not most prevalent as the default, and reprocess your review on that default to either fix everything at once later on, or just go through individual changes there. That's really the general overview of how to use the review features in Astute Review. Again, there are more detailed videos that exist on our YouTube channel. Before I conclude for the day, just two quick things to show you as well. If at any point in time you want to run just a review of an individual slide, you can do so by clicking here. And then also in our settings menu, you do have the ability to create individual settings to run the review tool against. Instead of benchmarking the review against prevalence, you can input your brand standards here. You can save them either on your computer or share them with your colleagues, so that as you create new settings, you can push them to your colleagues so other users of Astute Review can have access to them. And as you can see, I updated the settings to be checked against Astute Review instead of default. And you can see we checked all of these settings here, so we have more specific guidelines. And now when we run our review, you'll see that as things pop up, instead of benchmarking just against prevalence, we'll also detail that the settings that we have selected. So it'll say, Astute Review, your company name, client ABC, so you can benchmark the review against these predefined settings versus what is most prevalent in the presentation. So that's it for this tutorial. If you have any questions, feel free to email support@astutereview.com. Hit us up in the chat window that exists at astutereview.com in the bottom right-hand corner, or check out some of the other tutorials that exist on our YouTube page. But thank you very much for your time today.